everybody. Welcome to this week's Sublime Text Live. I was watching some stuff earlier about ways we could kick the stream up a notch, maybe, and try to get things going as good as they seem to go sometimes on Twitch. So that's something we need to look into. Perhaps thumbnails could be a little bit better, or stream titles could be a little bit more good. I sort of fall back on the system that we're using right now for this stuff, just because it was historically hard to think of what stream titles were going to be and what we were going to be working on way out in advance, and I like to have these things scheduled out. But that is something I'm working on fixing in the new year, along with a completely new content schedule for the channel as a whole, which would allow us to make sure that we can come up with the content that we want. Now, I believe I've touched on this previously, and it's something that I was going to make a video about this last weekend, but some personal business intruded on my ability to work on that sort of thing. So that didn't happen. Still forthcoming, but and I have sort of mentioned this previously, but the ultimate goal for me here on the channel is to help people with Sublime Text as much as is possible. And for the last 2 years, less the last couple of months, where I've been working on some other stuff and sort of taking a little bit of a content break, I've been creating videos once a week, every week, and I had a large pool of ideas, and as time went on, the pool of ideas tended to go down a little bit. I was getting some suggestions for things, but suggestions for topics that I don't intimately know always sort of settle near the bottom of the list in a priority order, because it's easier to create topics for video, or to create content for videos for something that you actually know the answer to versus something that you need to do a little bit of research. And I'm certainly not averse to that sort of thing, but the amount of time that I have available to work on these sorts of things is sort of at a premium at times. So I would tend to take the easy road out by making sure that I could create a video and pick one of those easier for me but still juicy topics. You know, say the sort of video topic where if someone said, hey, why doesn't my build system work, I could wax poetic about that for 40 minutes if I needed to, because I'm fully versant on that. This includes things like LSP, which is desperately needed, and something that I've been pondering for a while and wondering if I should or shouldn't, but people are asking, and I think it's actually a good idea in retrospect, which would be a video series on how to actually get started with Sublime for complete new users. Now, all the content on the channel is tutorial in nature and will help you, but there isn't anything that takes you from the level of, all right, so you've just installed Sublime Text for the first time, now what? If you have specific questions along your journey, I can certainly help with that with the topics that are already on the channel, but there's no guided experience. And I thought about this for a bit. I thought perhaps we could create a playlist of videos that are already existing on the channel that would help, you know, guide some of this stuff, which would work to a point. A little bit fraught because some of the earlier videos on the channel, the quality on the audio and in the video and in the length isn't really where I'd like it to be. They were great for what they were. They're still excellent resources. I don't think there's any videos on the channel that talk about something that isn't still true, for example. There may be other ways to achieve some goals now. For example, color scheme customizations are a little bit easier because there's functionality built in, so you don't need package dev to do it, but that'll all still work. But I kind of want to do more in that regard. So my plan, and it might take a bit to get off the ground here, is to come up with a breadth of topics, whole series, and spend the time that it takes to get all of that information laid out and ready to go, the research that has to go into it to make sure that I'm describing this stuff to the best of my ability for people that are out there. And then I can take a week's worth of time and just spend evenings doing nothing but recording that video content. Now, when I make regular videos for the channel for the last couple of years, that's all being done by rehearsing in written and spoken form what I think is the crux of the problem, how to best describe it, coming up with examples that we can use to describe these things and how the solutions fit into them, coming up with a talking point list. I tried scripts, not good at it. Talking point, bullet points per scene to make sure that I know that I'm hitting the things that I want to hit in the right order is what works best for me as a video producer. Once I create that, it comes time to create the actual video content, in which I record the audio with the headset, record the video with the camera, and then there's a post-production work that requires me to take the audio, make it as good as I can, take the video, make it as good as I can, get all of the video, including me down in the little corner. Sometimes I'd be, down there, or sometimes I'm up here. And then comes the part where we stage all of those videos segments together to come up with the full thing and record the screen that goes with it so you can actually see stuff happening. And the parts of that involve sweetening the video, sweetening the audio, arranging it, recording the screen is by far the part that takes the most amount of time. Ironically, recording stuff is pretty quick. I can record an entire video in roughly an hour to 2 hours, depending on the length of it and how many times I screw up a part. So what I'd like to do, and this is why we're sort of starting this particular thing with this, is for the video series on getting started with Sublime and LSP, I'm going to come up with the list of topics, figure out exactly what it is that we want to say, do all of that pre-prep first, then just spend a week and just record. Evenings, weekends, any spare time, get in there, record. The more recording you do in a session, the easier it gets. I will say that. I've sometimes recorded a couple of videos in one day's period, because once you get started, things start flowing, synapses start firing. It can be a little bit hard sometimes to get into that brain space depending on what's happening. Once that's done, well, if I have a week or so lead time, I can be processing the first of the videos to have it ready on the channel, while also having other content in the background, planning for the next segment so I can keep the content rolling. Now, the ultimate goal for that is content on the channel that is as best as I can make it, that's planned out, that is scheduled out even more rigorously than the schedule that I normally apply to this sort of thing. And also having videos in the can, if you will. It's always been a goal that I've never managed to accomplish, to have at least one, if not two or more videos already uploaded, thumbnailed, ready to go. So if I get sick, if there's some sort of personal emergency on the weekend or something, I have a video that I can click and it goes out and life is good, and I don't have to do what I have been doing for the past couple of years, which is when something like that happens, freaking out and getting stuff in. Well, hello. Fancy seeing you here. Welcome, welcome. We're just doing a little bit of a chat here before we jump into actual content on this thing. And partially that's because I'm watching something on that monitor that's work-related that I might need to take a brief 5-minute pause to do something with, but I don't think it's going to be coming. How are you doing? Are you feeling any better? I hope you're feeling better. So getting back to the topic, this is the plan. So there could be a little bit more of a dry spell before videos arrive on the channel. We'll still be doing streams, but I do want to get that stuff going, and I want to grow the channel more this year. All of last year, I've really been just sort of making videos because it's fun to make them, and I want to continue doing that, but I'd like to increase the audience of people that gets to see these videos, and maybe we could actually set something up like channel memberships here on the channel. But to do something like that, there has to be a value add other than supporting ODAT Nerd by giving them 99 cents a month or something. And having extra videos could be a way to do that. Having a way to decide what we work on in a live stream could be a thing to do something like that. So we're going to need to get together as a community. You're addicted to League of Legends, are ya? Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling better. Red Jar of Jam has become addicted to Elder Scrolls Online, and he's taken a fair portion of his viewership with him. There are several people at any given point. In fact, I think he's playing right now. And he has several people from his community also playing with him in Discords. I, however, am the one staunch holdout because I got too much stuff going on. We are going to jump in real quickly here. One of the things I'd like to work on videos is better titles and better promotion of these things. I don't promote these as well as I could. Certainly, not having any videos on the channel to remind people is probably something that, you know, could be more better. Let's jump on in. Also, we're experimenting here on YouTube with music as well. The last stream we did on Twitch, I also did music there. Liked it. So let me know what you think if you're watching this live or if you're watching this in a playback. I'm playing stuff that should be mellow and non-vocal for the large form, hopefully not too overpowering, but a little something in the background just to add a little bit of extra something. I've played Skyrim. Never played Elder Scrolls though. I'm not a fan of massively multiplayer online games or multiplayer online games. I would really only want to play an online game with people that I know specifically and only people that I know. For example, Minecraft with a certain someone would be an idea of something like that. Or everybody jumping into one another's island in Animal Crossing. But a game where you just play with the nameless rabble, even in addition to people you already know, not a fan. That I am not a fan of a thing. I used to do that when I was younger. Kind of burned out on the jerkiness of people, if you will. Ah, cool. Thank you. Hello, Matthew, and thank you. We are going to be doing a couple of things tonight. One is answering questions, if anybody has any about Sublime Text. That's always the prime reason why we're hanging out here, is so that if anybody has any questions about Sublime or any of the videos on the channel or anything, feel free to ask those at any point. You can break in. That is the whole point of this operation. Secondarily, I got a couple of package-related things that I'd like to do here. One is start doing something to make Override Audit be Sublime Text 4, not compatible. Compatible is the wrong word, but upgrade it to using the new version of Python in the new plugin host. And the change for that is very easy. Testing it is kind of hard. Secondarily, one of the channels that has been pending on the channel for forever is how to create a package, or rather, take a package you have created, I should say, and push it to package control for other people to see. And I think the best way to do that is to actually do it in a video. You have to have a package to be able to do it. And we have an example of such a thing. So we're going to be working on that. We're going to be rocking out to some chill EDM. Hopefully, again, the volume isn't too terrible. Not gonna lie, part of this is just because my headset turns itself off if it doesn't hear any audio, and it makes it really hard to monitor things, which is a giant.
And you fail.
However, I do I like listening to this sort of thing while I'm working, so I think that sort of applies to streams. So I'm definitely going to keep doing it on Twitch. We'll see if we want to keep doing it on YouTube. On YouTube, it's a little more scary because it's easy to get your channel copyright struck. So the first thing that we would like to do is actively wonder why this file has been modified realistically. Oh, I fixed a typo, I guess. All right, I fixed a typo in purposes, would be the reason for that. Let us very quickly Oh, we do have some stuff we can do here. Oh, I forgot we were working on this way back in October of last year. All right. So, good thing to actually say if we want to do something like this, we need to be using a newer version of Sublime Text. So this is a great reason to make sure we're actually using said version. Let me just... There we go. So... That would explain why we were doing something with that as well. This isn't pushed anywhere. And again, if you're watching, if you have questions about anything Sublime related, including what we're doing, or just a question about your own stuff, please do feel free. There should be a bot that says something like that, but it doesn't seem to do something all the time. Oh, that's cool. If you are watching this, again, live or in a replay after everything is all said and done, if you have ideas for videos that we could create on the channel, topics in Sublime that were a little challenging that you didn't quite understand for a while but then you got, or problems that you actually are still having, those are the ideas for videos that I need. You can drop them down in the comments section of any video on the channel, and I will get notified. You can also tweet me at ODATNerd as well. Contact information down in the description of all videos on the channel. Also, whether you are new to Sublime or a seasoned veteran of Sublime, if you have any ideas on if there was a video series related to how to get started with Sublime, the things you need to know to get started, how key bindings work, how settings work, how the sidebar works, being familiar with the user interface in general, I would like to know that as well, because I'm actively working on a video series about that actual content. If I'm to be believed with this particular commit, this is listing that some of these packages are shipped, some of them are installed, and oh, the user package isn't. Oh, the user package can't be in here because. Right. Yeah, let's do this. Packages that are purely unpacked is what we're looking for here. Command browser is one. Cyberpunk is one. I don't think those would show up in here. Because you can't create an override in a package that's only unpacked. So, list of packages that ship with Sublime or that you have installed. That is exactly the sort of thing that we're interested in for that. And shipped, installed, unpacked are blue, purple, red. Shipped, installed, unpacked. Unpacked isn't really a thing that we're going to see there super often. I bet you we could make it show up though. This creates a quick panel item of the appropriate info. Okay, so this is all, yeah. We can see here in the code what we've done is we've said that in the code that knows about packages, we've defined the kinds the packages can have. They can be shipped, installed, or unpacked. We've specified colors that we think that those should actually be. We've implemented a new quick panel item which will figure out the kind based on the type of the package. So if it has a shipped path, then it's shipped. If it has an installed package, then it is installed. and otherwise it's unpacked. And then we can create a new quick panel item by taking the name of the package and the kind and returning it, which is really the only thing we need. We need to know the name. And when browsing for package contents, we can annotate the list of items, whether it's an override, not an override, or a filtered list by using this method, which will take a list of items, call that quick panel item on each one, and come up with the appropriate information. So if we did open resource, then automatic package reloader, that, and user appears in here as unpacked, which is exactly what we would like to see. And that may or may not have blown up in my face. Well, that's interesting. I think we may have potentially broken this package the last time we worked on it. Or at least that particular functionality, which is specific only to me. And what if we pick... No, they're all doing the same thing, huh? Okay, so source browse line 76 is where it's unhappy. In the onSelect lambda index on done package list items index, if index is greater than or equal to 0, else none. Why is that unhappy? Is the real question here. I'm not entirely sure why that's unhappy. Here. Just to make sure we're absolutely clear on this. In override audit lib packages, in I see what we did here. The change that we made causes items to be a list of quick panel items. And what we actually want is that. Previously it would have just been the name of the thing, so it's unhappy when it gets into libpackages.py at line 1102. Whoops. This part's unhappy because the key is invalid. That's not going to work, huh? All right. See, it all works fine and dandy until it gets to that part. Hello, Ashwin. How are you doing this fine Tuesday? Yeah, I don't have that in here yet. Let's swap some tabs around. Oh. All right. It's in the index. It's not actually in the index yet, if you will. Ah, my chat went away. Come back, chat. There we go. That's the business. That's what we're looking for right there. I think we want something like that. There we go. That is the business right there. And since we are always calling annotate contents on this, we always need to gather that. Oh, I got something in my eye, and it is not cool, man. It is not cool. Okay, so you are a thing we don't need. There's probably one more little bit to this that we would actually like to do. Let's put that back for the time being. One thing I'm gonna do is that, and that should be part of the previous commit. I bet you where we left off with this is this. Which part of this? We only modified package browser to do that. What we also want is in the resource browser, now, which is this one. I think we want a similar thing here. Annotation is the thing that we're interested in here. When annotation is turned on in the resource browser, this is the annotation that's appended to the end of resources that are currently overridden. So, for example, if we were to create an override report, paste from history is an example of something from the default package that is overridden. So if we were to open resource default, and then you can see paste from history and regex replace widget Sublime settings both have that suffix crammed onto the end of them to let us know this is an override. I certainly can. What would you like help with? Also, hello. That is what we are here for. Let's look at this very briefly while you're doing that. This is going to take a little bit of work. The contents of the package as we gather it needs to not just return a list of the resources or a set of the resources. We also need to know which ones are overrides. And that might be easier done by having a list of things that we know are overrides and augmenting the list on the fly as they're added or similar. Or we would perhaps need a new set that knows how to handle quick panel items. I have this plugin to prevent words from the buffer to be part of autocomplete. After I upgraded from 3 to 4, it doesn't seem to work anymore. Is it a plugin that... Yes. I'm experimenting, Ashwin, with doing the same thing on YouTube as I do everywhere else. So it makes stream setups a lot easier if there's not a whole lot of stuff that's different between the two platforms. If I can just have different video clips with the same scenes, life works a lot better. I've seen such a plugin before. Are you using any third-party plugins as well that do stuffs? I can't type. I still can't type. Inhibit. Prevent Sublime from showing completions based on the contents of the buffer. I'm aware of such a plugin. Oh, the problem with sharing a gist on YouTube is that YouTube will eat the link. There's no DMs on this, is there? No, even in links. Yeah, the best way to do a thing is to share a gist, but then you have to DM me on Discord and give me the link and then tell me that you sent me the link. YouTube is a bit of a jerk about making sure that people don't use links. I believe the plugin that you're talking about would be something like this. Def on query completions. Self view. Oh, what are the parts of this? The location, the prefix. How close am I to getting that correct? View prefix locations. Dang. View prefix locations. Close. And then you return the two tuple version that says you don't have any of those, and the flags are sublime dot inhibit word completions. Thus was the correct situation. List of completions, two tuple, with the first being completions and the second one being please don't source words from the buffer. Example of words that are coming from the buffer that you don't want to come from the buffer. This is my problem with something like this. I haven't actually saved the plugin yet, but what's an example of content in a file that shows up in autocomplete that you don't want to show up in autocomplete? Is return a word from the buffer? Oh, there you are, Nightbot. Thank you. I don't offhand remember this being a problem in New Sublime. But in order to see if it still works the way that we expect it to, if it doesn't work the way we expect it to, I need a sample case of something that it shouldn't be trying to do something with. As a matter of fact, let us That would indeed be cool. I would also enjoy it if Nintendo had sales in their own first-party products. Right about there. Oh, thank you for pointing out that that's not correct. Prefix it, well, I mean, arguably. Are those the sorts of things that it shouldn't try to offer? They all seem like things that you might want to do again. What package do you use that does that? Also, Ashram, what game are you thinking of? I will say the thing I like about a Switch is being able to carry it with me and put it to sleep at a moment's notice. When you're as busy as I am, being able to suspend your game anywhere within it and set it down and come back to it at a later time is awesome. Without, you know, making your computer forced to run a game for hours or days until you can get back to it. Anyway. No, that's not going to help. That is not a language that I am familiar with. Let's see. Does it only provide snippets? I'm gonna assume, yeah. Markdown. I can only make it pop up if I actually want the thing, but I guess if you were searching it, I only find that useful, personally. Says it's inhibiting. Is there a bug already reported for something like this? Running a completion list on on-query completions always does inhibit word completions. Ironically, there's somebody else having the opposite problem. On-query completions, returning an empty completion list always do inhibit word completions. Well, compare as we dare. That's still words from the buffer. That redacts the list real good. Unfortunately, it also stops snippets from appearing, which is probably not what you want. Doing inhibit word completions on query completions when not returning completion list. No. An optional list of completion values. If none is passed, the method set completions must be called before the completions will be displayed. That's not what we did though, right? Wrong window. No. I think I see what he's getting at there. I see. What about that? Nope. All else being equal. Well, that looks like it might be the easiest way to make sure that that actually works. In this particular case, which would basically indicate that a way to get around what it is that it's doing, which may or may not be the right thing, is to provide it at least one completion so that that flag actually has some effect. No, that was the right spot for that. Does your language allow underscores to start symbols? Because that could be a way around this. But I don't know if this is the best way. Observably, the plugin that used to do something in Sublime Text 3 doesn't do anything anymore, and the autocomplete system has been heavily modified in the newest versions of Sublime Text 4. So, it could be doing that on purpose. It would appear that you can't inhibit word completions unless you also provide some completions. Underscore triggers autocomplete. Oh. Well, in that case, the same thing might actually work if we did this, actually. I wonder. Is $sign valid? We want... I would wager. That doesn't actually... Gee, I would have thought that that might actually have more of an effect. Optional is the completion values. A string, a two-element list tuple, the string and the replacement. So one thing you could maybe do, I'm kind of interesting. Really doesn't like empty strings. Something that you could do is something like that as the single line of this thing. Or if you wanted it to be more Sublime-y, Sublime Text 4-y, you could do something like that instead. This tells it that there's exactly one completion that this does something with, which is that one, and inhibit word completions from the buffer, which would make it show up, whoops, in the list, which is unfortunate. But it only shows that. It only shows those kinds of completions. It doesn't show ones from the buffer. So if you were working in a situation like this, it's gonna pop that up. But presumably if you had other completions, that would be less annoying, if you will. That's the only thing it knows to put there. It doesn't know about anything else. Or if we look at the list of those things. So, my advice would be, first of all, if we check in inhibit word completions. It seems very odd to me that that doesn't work. Inhibit word completions only works the first time. Well, that's way back when, so that's not going to matter. I would think all completions from a Sublime completions file are considered a snippet and get the snippet kind info. All right, so Removing the word completion which exactly matches an existing trigger does the thing. I think this is probably the best bet. Basically exactly what you already had, except put something that's non-empty in here, because I'm pretty sure if this is an empty string, it's still going to do everything. The least that you could put in... Oh, those things are not in this direct order that I expect them to be in. You know, like even a dollar sign, for example. Then it'll show up when other things show up, but if there's more completions that are in there, I would think that it would go more for those than the other ones. It does leave one awful item in the list, but on the other hand, the one thing could be better than all of the other words in the buffer cluttering things up, so there's that. But I would suspect that whether, I don't know if it's by design that it's not doing this or not, but it would appear that a completion list or the onCore completions event handler doesn't do anything if the list of completions it returns is empty. I could swear that I've seen somebody talk about this before. I mean, I know that I've heard people talk about it a bunch, because people don't want auto completions, they just want auto completions. Posted after that. Hey, look, I said something about it in July of last year. It's required to recreate the list. So, below is the plugin I use. I cannot find the original author to give him credit. Well, I mean, yeah. Realistically, that name is the only part of this that's different. Everything else is exactly identical. The real question is that that doesn't necessarily work with Sublime Text 4. So I'm afraid that's probably about as good as it's going to get. But you may want to raise an issue with in the issue tracker. If you're using Sublime Text 4, you can use help report a bug and mention that the plugin that you have used to work, but now it doesn't. And what you want is a way to inhibit completions, I guess, for due diligence. What we could do is look at the default pref set and say auto. Auto indent, no. Indent a bracket, white space, word wrap. Auto match, nope. Allow autocomplete to trigger automatically. Maximum file size where words will be triggered. Delay before it happens. Scopes where it happens. Additional situations to trigger autocomplete in. Whether you should do it on tab. Whether it should be allowed in fields. Whether it should cycle from the top of the list to the bottom. Should it use the index to prepare things from the list of other files? Should it use previously selected completions to be automatically select a new one? Should it preserve the order of things? Should it automatically include trailing symbols or spaces? Should snippets be in there? Should they automatically expand while typing? I don't see any setting in here for that. But yeah. Hello, Ben. Perhaps you know the answer to this person's question, because I don't, but it's a very standard plugin in Sublime Text 3 to do that, to stop auto-completion from completing words in the buffer. But now it doesn't do anything unless there's at least one completion in the completion list, which I assume is by design. It gets the list of completions and says, there isn't anything in here. What should I care? but I guess gets in the way of people that only want completions from snippets and other completions, but not from the buffer. But I'm not sure of a good way around that. Well, realistically, I can think of a good way around that, and it would be for the Stata package to not use snippets, but to use an auto-completion, an on-query completion plugin, and then when it returns the completions that'll work, it could also include the flag. It's probably the correct thing that would be required for something like that. So you may or may not see an issue about this come by at some point. That would be the other thing, Raphael. If we look at the package that you're using, it does have a plugin, but it also has a bunch of Sublime snippet files. And if we look in this, it has, well, I thought it had a actual thing. I guess I'm thinking of a different one. It has an event listener. It has 2 event listeners, as a matter of fact. Which is weird because they could both be inside one. But in any case, if this plugin or this package was modified to have an on-query completions in it that listed as completions all of the stuff that's inside of those snippets, and then the snippets weren't there, then the auto completions would still work the same way as they do now. But when it generated it, it could also throw that in the list if it wanted to make sure that buffer completions don't appear. I don't know if the particular plugin is actively maintained, mind you. Also, that's not the key that does what I think it does. The last edit to this thing was 15 or 14 months ago. You could also fork it, and that could well be the case. Well, you know what? It's only doing stuff from these snippets, right? Just for the sake of curiosity here. We don't need, well, I guess we kind of did need that, didn't we? Just because I'm curious about something like this. Do you have a web link to a file gist of some sort to a sample Stata file that you could DM me in the Discord? Any Discord that I happen to be in? That's not going to do what I want. Is that the only completions that it provides? Oh, it has a Sublime completions file. I see. So it also has those. Let's close this window for the time being. And let us... Well, you know what? Let's say we actually want that sort of thing. It also it extracts the list of variables from the Stata program. Does it now? Let's see this. First of all, I'm going to do that and that. And then I'm going to give that the focus and say, which one of these things would actively, that must be the one that does it. So that's going to be the thing we're going to fiddle with here. There's a snippet. There's a snippet. There's a snippet. There's a completions file. So all of those things are providing some level of something or other to these things. They're all in source.stata. Nothing more complex than that. I'm going to put this file over there too, just for the time being. Now there's actually two plugins in here that do stuff. One is the editor plugin, which doesn't do anything super exciting in that regard. And then there's also completions plugin, which has on query completions. Unclear why there are so many of them. I guess it makes it a little bit easier. I probably would have put them all into one, but I guess you get to decide. It has a list of them. File completions don't. Oh, I see. This must just be pulling stuff from the buffer, or from the list of snippets-ish, if you will. Do you have a small sample stata file of some sort? Or is there a place that I could find one on the World Wide Web? Because I'm not particularly familiar with this. That's a PDF. That's not going to be in any way useful. In the meantime, we could note that for each for values and program are snippets that exist. And Will said that Sublime completions are treated as snippets, and we can actually see that here. If I had this file open, save, use, run, do, mir. Save, use, run, do, mir. I'm not sure where that one's coming from. And then those snippets. So, that said, if it's not stata, you don't want to do anything. I mean, if I'm going to be in the vicinity of a thing, it should look more like that. If you tried to send a link, YouTube is going to clobber it. There's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. You'll have to DM it to me. Are you in the Sublime Discord? You can DM it to me there. Yeah, the YouTube YouTube has a real hate on for links. Kind of makes coding streams a little bit of a pain in the butt, but there's no way to get around it as far as I can see. It just eats them before it tells anybody anything. That's okay. I gather this is kind of a data analysis kind of situation. It probably just needs something like that. You can tell that this must be one of those academic kind of things, because every time I try to find something about it, it gives me a PDF of something that somebody created. When realistically, I just want a code fragment of some sort. I assume that that's not something you want to be in this list. At least one of those things needs to be doing something for this to have any. Oh. Oh, I see. Pardon me, I bobbled it. Also, I missed one. Teehee. So this isn't going to work for me because apparently this is only supposed to work for Python 2. Or only on Windows. That's unfortunate. I don't have any good way to test something like that on this machine. If that's what this is actively doing. Oh, it's just including an import that does nothing. All right. Is this used for anything? I mean, maybe that'll do it. That's okay. More specifically, well, Sublime's going to use Python 3.3, so that may or may not be an issue, but none of those imports are actually used by anything in this file, as far as I can see. I'm not sure why they're actually there, but all else being equal. It does still think that that's a word that it should do something with. But it doesn't think P is. Is index special in some fashion? It could be because this is considered to be a variable. I mean, clearly it's not. But it could be. So interesting. Let's put one there. Any of these settings happen to be turned on by default by any stretch of the imagination? Variable, yes. Function, no. Command, no. All variables in the active connection is available to the completion drop-down menu. Oh, all right. I guess it must know that that's a variable. I guess. Maybe. Can't really take anything for granted at this point. Well, is this considered to be a variable of some sort in this particular case? Because this default setting says that variable completion is true. With this setting, all variables are made available. And similar functions and commands and files. So I can't actually run any static code here. I think that's the bit that's going to cause a problem for any particular situation in this thing. But what I would do is now, I guess if it was a variable, it would say variable after the name. And function after the name. So are these things actually triggering is the real question that we have here. All right. In that case, this may not do anything that is in any way useful to me. Because I can't actually run the thing. But if any of these things are doing anything and they're returning a list that's not empty, I mean, that would be the magic right there. You, boom. Not you. That's enough. So none of those things is triggering for me. They might trigger for you. Can you please change the settings and command completions? Well, like this thing here. We can, but if it's trying to talk to some external process, it's never going to do anything anyway. The important thing is if this is actually doing something, at least that one should be doing something. Or, sorry, the one that is turned... Ow. The one that's turned on by default is variable completions, and variable completions is this one. If variable completions was true, which it should be, then it should be doing this. Unless it's failing. So it's definitely getting in there. Whoops. I don't need you, window. Which one of these is a function then? Because that's not what it looks like it's doing. For our purposes here, yes, it should do that, and it should do that, and it should do that, and it'll do that, even though none of those things actively do anything. I'm going to quit it and restart it because I don't trust that it's actually doing the correct thing with the settings. Probably okay, but nevertheless. This is the part that kind of worries me. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Something somewhere is screwing with some stuff. Well, that's okay. Nevertheless, I suspect that something like this is probably what you want, but it's hard for me to test because I'm not on Linux. I'm on Linux, not on Windows, so I don't have Stata. I don't know how to use it. But the whole point of the plugin that you have is to stop word completions, and the only way to get that to happen is to actually return completions and make sure that the list of completions it has is not empty, and also include that flag. Yeah, I know, right? I'm not entirely sure what is up with that. We know that it's getting this far. Because if I go over here and open this, it says V, then it says ER. So it's not working for me because it's trying to do something that doesn't work. And in particular, object of type int has no length. Ooh, that's no bueno. That happens inside of Sublime plugin. Presumably this doesn't blow up on your system when you're doing something with it. The reason it doesn't work for me is it's getting into here, and if I had to guess, the reason it's getting into here is because it's doing that. This is not a thing that actually exists. Potentially this other plugin that is just creepy as all get out, because what it's actively doing is using the global Sublime module to pass stuff around. Night, thanks for hanging out. I would have thought that you were already sleeping. Hope you feel better sooner. More gray? I don't think so. This is the same color scheme that I normally use. So here's my suspicion for you, Raphael. This package is it's on the semi-sus side. I mean, it got added, so I don't think that should be an issue. It's definitely not going to work for me because the thing that it needs to do is talk to Sublime, or sorry, talk to the Stata thing, and as you can see here, it's not going to work for me because I don't have a Pi Win32 module because I'm not on Windows. But that thing that I just found a second ago, it's using this to talk to the global Stata object. The application that I assume it either starts it running or requires it to be running. And then it uses this Win32 COM library to be able to talk to the running instance, which is how it's doing some of that stuff that you were talking about. So that part's not going to work for me because I'm not running on Windows and I don't have that here. But it should still work, even though it says, I don't think that's Python 3.2. I think Pi Win32, that's talking to the Win32 API for Windows. So, with that said, this part of the plugin is doing something that's never going to work on my system. It's trying to magically cram a handle into this global variable for unknown reasons, because whoever actually wrote this could have just made a variable and exported it. But I'm neither here nor there, and it got added to package control, so at some level it's probably okay. Just not how I would do it, is basically what we're saying there. And this completions plugin requires that to be set to, for example, gather the list of variables, or to maybe do other stuff as well. At least variables, if nothing else. So for variables, it looks like it's going to pull it. But we may still be able to salvage some of this operation here. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to say that. Now, here's the issue that we could potentially be having here. Uh-oh, I made that unhappy in the extreme. What'd I do? Well, it definitely has a list of functions, and then it got all cranky about something. Oh, whoops. Hang on. So the completions plugin. I don't think we need that in there either. It would have looked like that before. Nope, we really broke that something fierce. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to... Did I do something to that? Oh, I trimmed white space. All right, never mind. Thank you. Yeah, I had the same thought. I mean, if you want to pass a global variable around, I guess that's one way to do it. Not how I would do it. So I'm kind of surprised how long this package has been around, because that's, I would imagine if somebody was reviewing this today, they would have went, whoa, or they didn't notice that it was actually happening. Neither here nor there. Let's take this back to before I broke some stuff. You don't need any of that. And we do want to comment that part out. So that part's working. We come over here. Boy, we just really broke it hardcore. How did I break this so hardcore? I mean, it was working before, as far as autocomplete was concerned anyway. All right. When in doubt, smudge it out. That's what I say. What the heck did I do here? Any of that part matter? Nope. Go away. I turned some settings on. That's what I did. Alright, let's discard all of those changes too. Let's leave those changes. I think I have an idea of what's going on here. Alright, so let's say we don't care about that. We don't care about the fact that it has completions. We don't care about the fact that it has snippets. Those parts are just going to work anyway. And what we care about is this completions plugin. And in particular, we need some part of it to go. So I'm going to say temporarily just false on that. This is the part that causes it to blow up. Okay. Why does it cause this to blow up? Because of the change I made, I suppose. The ultimate solution to your problem, Raphael, is to modify these plugins these completion handlers to inhibit the word completions that you don't want them to have. Realistically, only one of them needs to do it. As long as one of them triggers, life is good. So that's the code is in all of them. We just need to see why it's unhappy about it. As the list of items, it's adding an array. It's a list of arrays, I would assume. Do that temporarily to make sure that this one actually triggers, and print comp list. And what it ends up being is a list of lists. So on the face of it, that seems to be fine. I'm not sure why it's unhappy about that. What thing am I modifying here? Function completions. Whoops. So that'll still break stuff for us. If there's... That would probably be a better operation, yeah. That one's a little bit above my pay grade for the time being. That's not something that I can help with. Realistically, this should be a simplistic end run to at least get something going. But I don't understand why it is so cranky. Also, I don't know why that is an I, for that matter, either. The thing that it came up with was an array of arrays, where the inner array is that, but is unhappy about it. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of saner things that could happen with this particular package. And I don't like to say anything bad about other packages because, you know, certainly I didn't write it. And I don't know nothing about no stata either. But there are certain code smells, shall we say, that give me pause. Perhaps that's a good way to say something like that. Am I just thick? No, that's not going to do what we want. Well, it's really piqued my interest that this part is broken now, Raphael. I'm afraid I'm going to have to try to figure out what the heck is going on. Hey, no problem. Are you in the Sublime Text Discord by any chance? Name seems very familiar. Maybe just because I see you posting in other places. Or maybe I got a message and I'm not paying attention to it. Nope, that's a different situation altogether. Realistically, this is pretty much, I mean, should do the thing. I just don't understand if the reason why it's not working is more endemic. Because it looks like it's creating an appropriate list of things for everything. Ah. Hey, that totally makes sense with the whole name situation. All right. Just because I'm just curious now. Clearly this causes it to blow up pretty hardcore. For reasons I don't understand. However, it wouldn't do it here. Because that's not the right kind of thing for it to do something with. On the other hand, I do have this. All right, we're getting closer now. Why are we unhappy, my friend? Am I misremembering what a list of lists looks like? It can be a list of things. That's not what we're doing. It can be a pair of Unicode strings in a list. So that is what we got there. Completion item. So that is what a completion item is. Go back to where this originally came from. I mean, it can return a list of completion values. It can return a 2-element tuple, or it can return a tuple. All right, so maybe, just maybe, I'm being a little bit of a dipdoodle on this operation. The thing that we're trying to blow up is this. What if this was a round bracket and this was a round bracket? Does that make it happier? No. All right. Let's look back at that page again. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it really looks like that is a list of lists. No, this is just confusing me now. I am confuzzled. I'm sure it's something ridiculously obvious. That is a list of one list. That is what we were returning back. We're returning back a tuple where the first item is an element that is a list that is itself a list of items, and secondarily some flags. And we returned it and it didn't blow up. So that's actually working here. So cool. I mean, that's kind of what we wanted. Except it also has ABS in it. Because that's what this thing over here is doing. This is the file that I'm editing over there, by the way. If I change this to function, then if I trigger it, you can see ABS is a function. That's how it knows that that's what that is. So that really looks like that is all we need to do to get that to do something. So let's put that over there. The thing we're playing with is functions. I mean, the problem is that looks exactly like what we had before. Yeah, it came from this thing here. We were just sort of testing that it was going to do what we thought it should. Boop. That wasn't a Discord thing. That was a forum thing or something. Oh, that was Masa. You can't interrupt a German. Think about it. If that they're not going to finish telling you the verb until the end of the sentence, you don't know enough about what they will have said until they've finished. Cunning. Compare as we dare this, which doesn't blow up in this particular plugin and causes that to appear. That is this thing coming out. And this is the code that I pulled from the other place. So copying that to this should be enough to fix it. No. All right, so now it is working. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So do we need to do that part? No, we just need to do that. Based on that, I think that this should look like that. That should look like that. Then this should look like that, and that should look like that. Then this should look like that, and that should look like that. I'm going to quit this and restart it to make absolutely for certainties that it's probably happy, except for that part, which is never going to be happy, but I can only do so much. We come over to here. This thing is getting in the way now, so we'll just do that because this is getting in the way of our testy testersons here. ABS is a function. That's all that's in here. Is index in here? Nope. Is put mata in here? Nope. Is mata in here? Nope. I would imagine that that is going to fix this. For our purposes here, you probably want that to be back like that. And now, there's a big old list of functions in here. You can comb this bad boy. You can comb it with an abs. That has an ACOS in it. That also has a clog log, because you're going to want to clog your logs. Clog your logs with Bob, right? I'm imagining that's somewhat similar to how you want it to work. The only things that appear in here are functions that come out of the buffer in this particular case, and the snippets that would otherwise be in here. Don't worry about that one. That's a completely different thing. That's this. That's not anything that anybody actually cares about. So, I can't verify that it would also work for command completions, but it definitely works for function completions, and it's the same stuff for all of them. So, if any of them works, they would all work, I would imagine. You probably also want to make sure that, that's actually present as well. That's going to break it for me now, but that's okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to copy this and stick it over there for the time being. Actually, I'm going to drag that out. No, it's not. It's, oh, haha. If you go look at my Twitch chat, it'll tell you what song is actually playing. This is Ico by Approaching Nirvana. It's from Pretzel Rocks. I'm not nearly this good yet. Although I can see why you would say that, because it's got the drum loops, which is the thing that I've been practicing for the last little while. Okay, I'm going to close this window, just like this. And then we're going to go to this terminal, and I'm going to go like that. Boom! We don't want you, Stata Editor. Go away. You smell. Boo. And we create this brand new window over here like this. I'm going to say install package, and then we're going to wait a little bit. One tiny little moment. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to find this, and I'm going to click that. Now, small tweak to Stata Editor plugins to remove words from the buffer. From the completion list. I I'm sure that is indented using tabs that are probably 4. I can't remember what the thing is actually called, so we're not going to worry about that for the moment. But we're going to type stata. Is that not something that I can... Oh, it's not going to let me do it, is it? Because it knows it's Windows only. Aw, you're a poopy pooperson. I should have paid more attention to that in this bit here. Only for Windows. All right. So here's what you have to do to do this. Completions plugin.py is what this thing is called. All right. So let's do that. I'm going to paste that there like that. I'm going to go like that, and doesn't necessarily need to be secret. It can be a public gist, and go boop. So here is the modified version of the code, and let's go to... Does anybody know what the link to this thing actually is? There's no share button in here. That's really kind of unfortunate. Got to visit my own stream to know how to link it. Oh, here's one. There we go. Do that. And we'll get you sorted out, Raphael. That's the plan. That's the plan, man. Okay. Worked for the data editor package. Worked on in what number are we today? I lost my title. I probably should have paid more attention to what that thing had to say. 114. This file is a modification of the original package file of the same name that modifies all of the completion listeners so that they will block words from the buffer from appearing in the auto completion list. Pretty much all we need for that. Then I do this. So Raphael, you're going to want that file. Okay. The easiest and best way that I think for you to install this, I was going to demonstrate it for you, but the package isn't going to let itself be installed unless I'm on Windows, and I'm not. So what you want to do is, and this sounds somewhat-ish like, you know, one of those biased kind of things. But there's this package called Override Audit, which is the one that I was working on when you asked your question. That is this one right here. If you don't already have this package installed, install this package too. There's ways to do this that don't use this package, but it's just going to make life tons easier. What you want to do is have Stata Editor installed, have Override Audit installed, and then go into your window here and choose the command Override Audit create override like this. Oh, then if you already know how to do that, that's cool. Just for anybody else that's watching that's curious about this, pick create override, choose the package that you want to override, which in this case is Stata Editor. I can't show it here. Choose the file completion, whatever, I've forgotten the name. It'll open up. Replace the entire contents of this with the file from that gist. Save it. You might want to just quit and restart Sublime just to make sure, just because that package is talking to an external process. Make for absolutely sure. And see how well that works for you. For it to do anything, at least one of these completion things needs to do something. So it needs to be completing either variables or functions or commands or files, though as we know that doesn't actually work. As long as one of these is running and doing at least one completion, that'll make sure that inhibit work completions actually gets applied. Should solve your problem. And we managed to solve a thing, and I don't know why it was going wrong after I saved the file, but you know, these things are weird like that. And just because. Hey, no problem. That is why we hang out here. I love an issue. I love being able to help, you know. I mean, that I've mentioned this before, but the whole reason that my channel on YouTube exists and has all of those videos is because I love helping people in the forum and on Stack Overflow and, you know, the Discord now that wasn't there back when I started. And there were a lot of common questions that people were asking, and I thought, I'm going to make a video about that. It'll help explain, you know, I find it easier to see a solution happening rather than be told do this. It works better for me. And yeah, I love helping out with this sort of stuff. So thank you for having an awesome thing, because otherwise, who knows what we were going to do. In case there's any problems with this code and it doesn't actually, you know, work for the other stuff, you can, you know, ping me on the forum and we can look into it. I could, in theory, install stuff on my Windows system. That's just not where I stream from, so it makes it harder to test in full. Unless Stata is something that's not free and you have to purchase, in which case that's probably not going to work. But with that, do I have enough windows open? I think is the real question of the day. Oh no, I closed too many of them. Eep. We'll bring that one back to stuff we were doing before. And now we're back to where we started, being mildly concerned about how this is all going to go. And I think that might be where we end the stream this week. I lost track of my tab. That's no good. That's no good at all. Not at all. There we go. Oh, is that a... Nope, there we go. Cool. That is cool. So, yeah. Now, what I originally had planned was to try to tweak up override audit a little bit, and maybe also the package for the scraps. Sorry, package that's in the scraps currently for scratch buffers, which is the thing that I was doing. That's how I created that little temporary file with that sample code to be able to test some stuff out. We're going to try to get that onto package control in a video, and I want to work on that. That, however, is not going to work this evening because I'm going to press you. That is not the right one. I think I have those in the wrong order. I really do. That's an unfortunate turn of events. Now I got to sit this way as we look at the chat and say thanks everybody for coming out tonight. This was a load of fun. Raphael, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by the way, but thanks so much for the question. That was a fun little investigation into stuff. And if you've ever, you know, if you were in the Sublime Text Discord and you ask a question like that and you get into like a long, you know, like back and forth with me and with other people as well, this is an example of what's actually happening behind the scenes. You come up with an interesting problem and you will snipe the nerds into, you know, at least this nerd, into helping you out with that stuff. We're going to call it there. Super nerd and super big brain time. For anybody that's watching now that didn't catch the beginning, you might want to catch this on the replay because I did a little full camera thing like this talking about the future of the channel and things that are planned for upcoming, which is still going to be a video on the channel. It's just weekends have been crazy as of late. But with that, we're going to... That's the one. I knew someone would pull that out. You gotta snipe them nerds. I've actually been thinking about making a video about that. Hello, Yaku. Just in time. Yes, I'm afraid we're ducking on out. I need to send a work email to say that although something tested, I am creeped the hell out about merging it through, and I want to look at it a little bit more before we proceed with that. So we're gonna have to call it for the night. But I will be back on Wednesday. I will be back on Friday. Heaven forfend, Thursday goes well, and we actually get a bonus stream in there. I figured that was probably the thing. Oh, I was gonna say I've been thinking of creating a video about that because I've noticed a larger than usual number of people asking questions where they just say, "This doesn't work." You're gonna be more specific, right? What's the this? What's the not work? The best way to get an answer to a question, talk about that a little bit in the video. I don't know, maybe that'd be an interesting thing. Maybe it would make everybody hate me. I don't know. Something I've been kicking around for a while. Anyway. And along with all of the other videos as well that will be coming soon to the channel. Well, for now, though, we're going to call it a night. I'm going to sadly do a little bit of work. If you're only a YouTube person, we'll see you next Monday in this same time slot. If you're a Twitchy person as well, well, you know, I'm going to be live on Twitch on Wednesday and Friday as well. Possibly also Thursday. Still working in Sublime. If you have any questions about it, you can totally pop in and ask them there as well. For now, though, we're going to say sayonara, adieu, auf Wiedersehen, etc. Au revoir. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. No, that's not goodbye, is it? I really only speak the one language. In any case, thanks everybody for stopping by. We'll see you in the next one. And until then, have a sublime day.